I think you absolutely have to be nuts if you are a CPA and you are in the practice of helping your clients form business entities such as corporations and limited liability companies. Why? Here's why. I had a very interesting meeting with a client earlier this week. He'd found me on the internet and said that, hey, it looks like you've got a lot of expertise in forming small business entities such as corporations and limited liability companies. And he wanted my insight into a particular problem that he had. He had formed a small business corporation and had been sued as a result of one of his business dealings. And the plaintiff in the lawsuit, that is the person that was bringing the lawsuit, was trying to pierce his corporate veil. And they were trying to pierce the corporate veil on the grounds that he did not properly form his corporation and he did not have all of the documentation necessary to show that he had completed all of the corporate formalities. And I said, well, that's no problem. Generally, you just go back to the lawyer that helped you form the corporation, and they may be able to walk you through some of the discrepancies and describe to you from a legal standpoint why it is that they did what they did. And he says, well, that's where the hang-up is. He says, I didn't have a lawyer help me do it. He says, it was my CPA that helped me do it. And I said, your CPA was the one that actually drafted all of the legal documents? And he said, yeah. And he says, if they pierce the corporate veil, he says, I want to sue my CPA because he was the one that led me to believe that he knew exactly what he was doing. And it looks like I'm, probably going to lose a lawsuit, and it may be north of $500,000. So I just want to make sure that if I go down, I want my CPA to go down with me, since he was the one that did the paperwork that has now put me in the position of potentially losing all of my personal assets. So why is this such a horrible position for the CPA to be in? Here's three big reasons. One is, when you as a CPA start drafting legal documents, you're actually practicing law. And in the state of California, you need a license to practice law. If you don't, then you could actually be prosecuted for committing a crime here in the state of California, and it puts you in a horrible position vis-a-vis your client if he's suing you for allegedly doing work that you're not licensed to do, and you've got no ability to defend yourself by saying, well, actually, I do have a license, and I was making professional judgments in terms of how I was going about drafting the paperwork. So that's the first nasty point that you've got to face. The second nasty point that a lot of CPAs who do this sort of thing don't think about is that you're not insured if you mess the paperwork up. Now let's take a lawyer. Lawyers have a specific kind of insurance. It's errors and omissions insurance or malpractice insurance that says, hey, look, if you, the lawyer, are drafting legal documentation and you make a mistake, we're going to insure you. So, for example, we carry multiples of millions of dollars of insurance just to protect us in the event that we make a mistake. And mistakes are human errors, and they do happen. However, if you call up your insurance carrier as a CPA and you ask your carrier, hey, by the way, if I draft legal documents and I make a mistake, will you cover me? The answer is going to be no, we don't, because you're not licensed to practice law, and therefore our insurance coverage does not extend to any mistakes that you would make as sort of their lawyer or acting in the capacity of their lawyer. And the last big problem, I think, for the CPA doing this kind of work is that if you get sued and you have to defend yourself, since there's no insurance available, you're going to have to pay the legal fees yourself. And even if you were able to just get knocked out of the case some point down the road, you could end up spending $15,000, $25,000, $35,000 just hanging in the lawsuit long enough to be able to get yourself out of it. And for $500 or $1,000 that you might make helping a client incorporate their business, the potential downside of just having to defend a lawsuit like this would be an absolute nightmare. All right, so we've now gone through a few reasons why it's not a great idea for you as the CPA to be doing legal work on behalf of your client, but we still got the challenge. We want to help our clients do the best that they can in the tax world, and sometimes that's by use of a business entity in which they can run their business. So sometimes we like to use a corporation, sometimes an S corporation or a C corporation. Sometimes we like the limited liability company format for the same good tax reasons. How do we get our client into that entity, and yet not lose the client if we send them over to a business lawyer that we don't know or might not have a good relationship with, or worse, if we just send the client out and tell them, hey, just go use LegalZoom or just go find yourself a business lawyer and come back to me. All of those pose a risk for you and your ongoing relationship with the client. So the solution is to do business with a law firm like us. We completely and totally respect the CPA client relationship. If you as a CPA refer a client over to our office, we'll only ever send that client back to you. If there's any tax questions that come up during the course of our relationship, again, all of those questions go back to you. And our view is that we, the lawyers, and you, the CPA, are partners in helping the client actually do the best they can out there in the real world. Best that they can from a legal standpoint, best that they can from a tax and accounting standpoint. So, I mean, I've been in this business for 30 years. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of corporate tax returns, but do you want to know how many corporate tax returns we've done here in our office? 0. The reason is because the world of accounting is part science, part art, and it's very, very complicated. You need that 10,000 hours of experience so that you can do the best work you can for your clients. It's impossible, I think, for you guys to be able to master that work and then on top of that be expected to master all of the intricacies of doing legal work as well. That's the reason why we think a partnership between a CPA and a law firm is so important and so critical for all of our clients. So, if you find yourself in a situation where you recognize that it's in the best interest of your client to form a business entity, we would very much welcome the opportunity to work with your firm and respect that client CPA relationship that you've got, and in the meantime be sort of a back office support, if you will, for the client and perhaps a partner, a power partner with you, the CPA firm. If you have any questions, please give us a call. My name is Andy Gale, and we practice law here in Orange County, California.